Now, Brian, this is the
126th US Open, Paul.
and we're coming to you live from Long Island in New York. And that little thing in the background there between our shoulders is Shinnecock Hills, one of the iconic golf courses in America. Now, Brian, we've been here since we arrived Sunday night. We spent the last 3 days taking notes. You take notes in a bit of a shabby looking red thing.
Yes.
I've got this beautiful leather bound moleskin. Anyway, I thought it'd be a good idea if I'm interested in what you found interesting about the last 3 days.
Yeah.
And I know you're interested in what I found. And we swapped notes earlier. We swapped books earlier and summarized what Brian was interested in and what I was interested in. So, Brian,
Yes.
give me the 3 most interesting things you found about my notes.
Apart from the appalling handwriting.
Apart from the appalling handwriting.
Yes. All right. Yeah. This one. This one jumped out at me. I may not be the best in the world, but I ain't the dumbest. Who was that?
Okay, so if you remember, we went out with Rory McIlroy on Monday morning.
Yes.
And he was playing with 2 pros, Michael Brennan and Filippo Celli.
Filippo Celli, Italian,
Italian,
yeah. Rome, yeah.
And Brennan sounds like a Paddy, but he's actually in America.
Yeah, he's American, yeah.
Yeah, but there was a 4th member of the group whose name wasn't on the board. The little mobile.
Yeah, the standard bearers board,
The standard board. And we hadn't a clue. We'd never seen this guy before.
No.
And he didn't look like a pro.
No.
He was wearing what?
He was wearing a pair of sort of baggy, weren't exactly cargo shorts there. Didn't have all the pockets, but they were a big pair of big brown shorts. So they were a ton. He wasn't the most svelte competitor you'd ever seen in the field. No name. Oh, because they can only put 3 on the board, you see.
Yeah, and I think my first impression was, Jesus, who let him in here?
Yeah, it was your man. Yeah.
So we got to the, I think it was the 13th tee, and we were standing behind the cooler there where they get drinks, they serve drinks. And he walked over, and you, being the intrepid reporter that you are, engaged him in a very, very good question.
Yeah, how did you manage to swing this tee time? It was a nice one. I mean, it wasn't exactly the marquee but Rory McIlroy stood out like a sore thumb with the other 3 lads, good as they are. And he just, and that's where he said that.
So he said, basically, you sign up.
Yeah, there's a login.
There's a login.
They have.
Yeah, you sign up for a tee time.
Yeah.
And he said he saw Rory's name down there, and he said, well, I may not be the best golfer in the field, but I'm not the dumbest. So he decided to treat himself to a round with the
world number 2.
The world number 2 and Grand Slam, recent Grand Slam.
6-time major winner. The Masters champion, no less.
Now, it's fair to say we were kind of impressed by that. Now, Brandon Holtz is his name.
Yeah, Brandon Holtz.
He's 39 years old. He sells real estate in Bloomington, Illinois.
Yeah.
And he qualified for this tournament, the US Open, by winning something called the US Mid Amateur. What is the US Mid Amateur?
It's obviously it's an amateur championship for players who are 25 and over.
Yeah.
So you have to be at least 25 to play in it. So it's for all the guys that maybe have played a little bit of pro golf, good amateurs that have moved on with their lives, or they're working in 9-to-5 jobs. Matt McLean from Malone won it a couple of years ago. Beat Hugh Foley from Rose, coming in the final. And it's a nice one to win.
I was going to say that. It's quite a prize because you get to play both in US Open and
the Masters.
So two massive big majors. Yeah. And Brandon Holtz then played the Masters. Yeah. And now he's playing the US Open. Now, when we knew that about him, when we found out that about him, I was kind of interested in the guy that was caddying for him. I thought, well, okay, you're playing the US Open. Who would you put in your bag? And it turns out it's his brother. And I went up to his brother, Brent, who is an insurance salesman, sells insurance. And I said, did you, so you caddy for him in the Masters as well? Oh, no. He said, no, that was my father. So he got his dad, the father, caddied for him at the Masters. I said, okay, well, and you got this one. I said, do you not have any brothers? He said, yeah, well, I'm the second. So Brandon is the eldest of the family, Brent is second, and he's 2 younger brothers. And basically, it was the natural order of things. He pulled rank and said, right, this one's mine. But a great story and a very, very good fella, you'd have to say.
Yeah.
And he's out tomorrow at what time?
I think it's about 8:15, something like that, off the 10th tee.
8:15 off the 10th tee.
Yeah. keep an eye out for him.
Okay. Now, let me just pull out what I found interesting about your
All
notes.
right, okay.
Number one, I thought, is finishing second a failure?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't ask Padraig Harrington that. I think he knows exactly how many seconds he's had. I don't know what he's up to now. 30
Okay,
odd.
so the context of that was Scottie Scheffler's press conference yesterday afternoon, late yesterday afternoon. And I went up there, and I don't often, in fact, I very rarely go to Scottie's press conferences. But this was different because this is a massive tournament for Scottie Scheffler. Tell us why, Brian.
Yeah, well, you know, if he wins, he completes the career Grand Slam on Sunday, obviously, Father's Day. Big deal over here. And his 30th birthday.
Right.
So he'd be the only the seventh. Obviously, Rory did it, you know, last year at the Masters. He'd only be the seventh all of time to win the career Grand Slam, which is just massive. I mean, and this is his first attempt. I mean, it took Rory 11 goes.
Yeah.
You know, who cares? To do it at all is just an incredible feat. But only 3 other players have done it at the first attempt.
Right.
You know they are. Who would you say?
But only 3. Well, I'd say. Well, there's not that many in the club, so I'd say I'll give Woods is definitely one of them.
Woods is definitely one of them. Yeah.
I'll give you the other two.
I'll give you Ben Hogan.
Okay.
And the first one with Gene Stars.
Gene Stars.
You know, so you're in. You know. The elite of the elite company there.
A very select, very select club.
Yeah.
Now, so the context of the quote was, as I said, I haven't gone into many Scottie press conferences, and we'd seen Rory earlier, and if you look at Rory and listen to Rory, he's very considered. Like he puts in serious thought into every answer he gives, whereas Scottie is kind of speaks quickly, doesn't think that much about it. Doesn't give that much thought to what he's being asked. Maybe because he doesn't want to. Maybe because that's just his way. Anyway, his first question he's asked obviously about the Grand Slam, how he feels about it. He wants to deflect straight away. And he's talking about, you know, well, okay, what if I don't do it then and I finish second, you know, and is finishing second a failure?
Yeah. Yeah, you know, he did, absolutely. You know, and he did deflect. You know, it's all about expectations, isn't it? I mean, we had it with Rory for so many years. The expectations on, you know, you're never going to live up to people's expectations. I mean, Scheffler has dealt with that. He just sort of said, look, people are never going to be happy no matter what you do, whether you finish second or third or win.
And ultimately, finishing second was a failure for Rory. I mean, Pinehurst, LA Country Club.
Yeah, he was second 2 years in a row in the US Open. I mean, you know, he had DeChambeau take it from under his nose, you know, and he made the 3-putt at the last, you know, so but Scheffler said, it sometimes does feel like a failure, absolutely.
But that's how we measure him now, given his place in the game.
And he says sometimes it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But he's you know, it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I mean, he's the red hot favourite.
Yeah. But you know, the stats are interesting and fascinating really because they're calling his drought now. I don't know how long it is since he's won.
Well, what did he win in late January, whatever, you know, down in the desert, that tournament where 30 under par wins. Hasn't won since.
Was that this year?
Yeah, that was this year. Yeah, that was it was like his first or second start. Okay. So like that's what he's won. He hasn't been quite.
Feels even longer
compared to the absolute winning 5-6 times a year the last few years. So, you know, drought-wise, he's been world number 1 for 200 weeks in a row or something like that. You know, so I mean, the consistency is incredible. You talk to the stats lads here, you know, and they give you lists. He's top of the list because he's so consistent. You know, hitting fairways, which you got to do here, hitting greens, which you got to do, even the putting, which hasn't been all that hot. Yeah, you know, across all those things, he averages out as he is the man to beat.
Okay, well, we want to join that club, but we wanted to earn it, so we're going to give him another 10 years. Let's hope he fails for another 10 years. Let's hope he's finishing second for another 10 years before he gets in there because, Now, number 2 on my list.
In your notes,
My notes, okay.
Yeah. Why would he... Here's, what was it? Why would he wear that? My handwriting is nearly worse than yours. Why would he wear that hat if it isn't his dad's?
Yeah. Why would he wear that hat if it isn't his dad's?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Monday, we're up by the clubhouse and we see an old and familiar face in Graeme McDowell.
Gold. He's only 46.
He's only 46, okay. That's probably a bit harsh. But we haven't seen Graeme for a long time. Certainly not at a major. When is his last major, Brian?
Yeah, the last I think it was the COVID Masters. The last US Open was the same year as well, 2020.
Right.
6 years.
And the thing about about Graeme, obviously, is that only 3 Irishmen in history have held the US Open trophy.
Right.
Rory,
Mm-hmm.
Graeme, and this man here, I'm just going to show a little photograph of that one I took earlier.
Who's that?
You're looking at it.
Oh yes. Oh no, actually, I've held the US Open trophy.
You held that one.
I held it. Yeah,
Okay, so
in
4.
2010.
4.
In 2010.
Oh, you actually held his.
When
got his.
he won in Pebble Beach.
Okay.
Yeah. I do
Right.
have a picture of
So
that.
you were there,
Yeah.
and I wasn't there actually. But
Yeah.
look,
Remember Rory ringing him? We were going because I went to the pub with Graeme afterwards. Myself and Carl McGinty, who was the former golf correspondent, and we went in the car with Graeme to the Irish pub downtown, and he's sitting there and happy as Larry. He's got the trophy, and then the phone rings. Who is it? Rory. Giving him the congrats and all the rest of it. So yeah, it was a nice moment.
oh lovely. Now I've always liked Graeme.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of stick from some of the smart arses out there, and about his accent and all that, and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've all heard that, but I've always really liked him. I think he's a really decent person. I didn't agree or appreciate that he went to live, but look, we all make decisions in terms of how we live our lives, and he has to live with that. But he's here, and we followed him down the first, and I said, asked him how he was doing. He was grand, but what I noticed was he has this little boy walking around with him.
Yeah.
I kind of said, well, is that his son? And sure enough, that's his youngest son, Wills, who is in himself quite a talented golfer. You got some footage actually of it.
Yeah. He actually had a little sneaky little drive on the
Had
eighth
a
hole,
sneaky drive.
Yeah, he's a pretty good pick because Ken Conboy, not McIlroy's caddy, Graham's caddy, was saying, this kid, this is the best 9-year-old golfer in the world. And I don't think he's playing much competitive stuff. So Graham's not pressure and play and all the rest of it. But they live in Lake Nona, which is obviously a very nice country club there in Florida, and plays loads of golf, all the golf you want.
Yeah. Now, what I was curious about was, so Graeme now has plenty of sponsors on his bag, on his hat, on his shirt, but Wills had just a kind of, I don't know, was a greyish kind of beige. It was kind of a beige shirt, and a hat with a small little logo. And I was curious about the logo. I thought, well, why isn't he wearing his dad's hat? Why hasn't he got the same hat as his dad had? Because if it was me, I bought my dad's hat. Well, I'm Graham's son. This is he'd want me projecting that. And so I asked him about it, and I said, what about the hat you wear? Where did you get it?
Yeah.
And he said, I got it from DJ. And this is it's a Ghost Golf logo, which had something to do with DJ. What's DJ's second name?
Dustin Johnson.
Justice.
His second name was just Johnson.
He's
not Dustin Johnson.
I'm having a senior moment.
It's been very hot out there, Paul.
It's been very hot out there.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, brain fart over. Dustin Johnson.
Dustin Johnson's hat, anyway. Yeah.
So he plays obviously on Live with Dustin Johnson, and clearly admires Dustin Johnson. But I asked him. I said, "Okay, well, who's your favorite golfer?" He says, "My dad." I said, "Well, that's a good answer." I said, "Who's your second favorite golfer?" He says, "Taylor Gooch."
Oh yeah.
I says, "Why Taylor Gooch?" Because he plays on my dad's team. Now, Brian, we'll go to your number 2, and
Stop drawing on my trousers.
Oh, sorry about that. I've got a bit nervous with the pen. So your number 2, which is, I can't fathom doing this for another 10 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're talking about
Adam Scott.
Now, Adam Scott gave a press conference on Monday. I think it was being first or second in, maybe not.
Yeah.
Or was it Tuesday? I can't remember. Anyway,
he was the first. Yeah, he was. I think he was the first in.
Yeah.
First in. Yeah.
And obviously he hasn't won a major for a while and done big for a while. And you're kind of, well, why is Adam Scott being brought in for a press conference?
Yeah.
And why was he followed into the press conference by Jordan Spieth?
Yeah. Nikolai Højgaard
and
Alex
Noren.
Yeah. They sat there.
They sat there, listened to Adam Scott talking at this press conference.
Yeah.
And I happened to be there again. and it was very interesting because Adam Scott is about to play
His 100 consecutive major championships,
100 consecutive majors. So that's 25 years of playing every major every year,
which is incredible.
which is incredible when you think of it. Okay, why
Most ever.
why is it incredible?
Well, I mean,
It sounds incredible.
just
Give us some context.
You're going to lose form. You're going to drop out here. You're not going to have an exemption. We won the Masters in 2013, so that gives you a bit of runway here and there. But you can have a sore foot, sore leg, not qualify, go through a bit of a slump.
Right.
So he's 45 and he's been at the top of the game for as you say, 25 years.
And
So-
he's second, therefore, in that list, the Alton
Yeah.
list, and that's
Jack.
146.
146 in a row he played. I mean,
Yeah.
He was qualified for actually more than that. But
Yeah,
he didn't
he
play.
played 146 in a row.
146
And that's
in a row.
where the quote comes from. I can't fathom doing this for another 10 or 11 years, because it would take Adam Scott another 11 years to hit to equal what Jack
Yeah.
Nicklaus has done.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
Which and there,
Which
there's
is
a lot,
incredible.
3 lads turning up. Just shows the respect
respect
for that.
for it.
And
Yeah.
because Jordan Spieth is actually of the active streaks.
Yeah.
He's second.
how many has he
Played
played?
52 in a row.
52. Wow.
52 in a row.
Wow.
So to put it in context, I mean, this is major number 89 for Padraig Harrington this week.
Who's 54?
And it's not consecutive either. I think
Right.
33 in a row was the most he did.
Right.
So he missed. Obviously, he only played the US Open 2 years ago.
Okay.
First time in a long time. So it's just an incredible beach.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And Adam is out is the afternoon or morning.
Yeah, I can't remember when he's out, but I do know what he was saying. It's lovely this 100 majors in a row and all the rest. But I'd love to win another one.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
I really would love to win.
I don't want to say
It's not a stat that you want to be remembered for. You want to be remembered for winning.
I'm not gonna say he's only won one, because that's
He
massive.
won the Masters in
Yeah.
20. Yeah,
Well,
British
yeah,
Australia.
and the Masters, yeah.
Yeah, so and he's a good egg as well. He's he's well liked and all the rest of it. So you wouldn't begrudge him a US Open, would you?
Okay, you wouldn't. No, we should go to number 3 on my list, but I just had a quick look there and
Oh, well, go on.
well, we do yours first.
Do
Is this
my
a proper
number? Yeah,
You're
all
number
right.
3. Is this a proper links course?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were asking me that.
I asked you that question. I asked it
when we were
Monday when we were out with Rory,
Yeah.
and I'm looking around and I see the fescue grass.
Yeah.
But the turf feels a bit kind of odd, and I'm just wondering how is it a proper thing?
Well, like the strict definition, no, it's not.
I think we
It's not
Googled
a
it.
links. It's not a links. It's not a links. It's links light. I mean,
Yeah.
it's near the sea. It's got fescue. It's got sandy soil. It's plenty of undulations. But the greens are, perched up quite a lot of them. With falls fronts. You can't really run the ball in
Well,
very many places.
Scotty said that
Scheffler
actually.
said that, yeah.
He said this is not a links course because
Yeah.
of the greens. He said the greens have slopes, and
Gotta
you don't
fly
get
in.
you don't get on the you don't get that on the links. He
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
and
But it has a feel of a links course with the wind, the seaside,
Yeah.
all that. It has that vibe about it. It's the closest thing you're going to get.
and it's
This neck of the
it's going to be a
woods.
serious challenge this week.
It's going to be a massive challenge,
Yeah.
because they're forecasting winds, 35, 40 miles
Tomorrow.
an hour,
For
yeah.
tomorrow.
So
Yeah.
and the USJ are a bit worried, they might have to, call play off. I think it might be the insurance brokers, because some of these towers you're looking at, they're 40 miles an hour wind the right direction, and these could come down, so they might have to stop play. You never know. Balls, also, there's a few, 3 or 4 very exposed greens as well.
Where did you get that from? The tower's been blown over. Jesus, what?
Well, it happened at the Memorial.
Oh, did it?
It happened at the Memorial.
Oh.
They had to stop play. Yeah, not too. Just what was that?
Oh,
2
sorry,
weeks- 2
sorry.
weeks ago?
Sorry for doubting you. Sorry for
Yeah.
doubting you.
So I mean, they're well anchored down, but I mean, it's much more exposed here than it is at the Memorial, where there are a
Yes.
few trees.
Yes.
There's nothing out there. I mean,
No.
there's a few bushes. There's trees on the outskirts of the course.
And the flags, as we look at them now, we're looking at on the first green here.
Today was
That way.
Kimmage, compared to Monday, Tuesday. Today was a little
But
bit
that's still
less breezy.
that's still breezy there now. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I'd
think
say-
they're all. Yeah, I think the guys are all on tenterhooks. Just don't do anything stupid, especially when it's very windy. Just keep it in the middle of the fairway. Chip it up to the you're in the rough. Try and just get it up to the front of the green somewhere, and try and get up and down, make your par. Just stick around par, because in all the US Opens they played Shinnecock Hills. I think Justin Ray, the stats guy, had a stat of 654 people played at US Opens. How many people finished under par in all those
Wow, you'd have to say two.
You know, it's a small number. Three people.
I was going to say
ever,
about
you know.
40.
Yeah, three. So
Right.
stick around, par.
Wow,
So
three.
yeah.
Okay, so
controversies
tomorrow now
Yeah.
we're predicting a heavy wind, or
Heavy wind,
strong
yeah.
winds,
here. Yeah.
and all of our boys,
morning.
Graeme, Padraig, and Rory are playing in the morning, and
Yeah.
Shane is in the afternoon. You got to think Shane might be the unlucky one.
It might be the unlucky one. You just gotta hope that you don't get a really bad gust at particularly bad time, and all of a sudden you make a number, and that's what Shane has kind of been. He's a bit worried. He's been playing great. As I said, I wish there's part of the puzzle missing. He hasn't, won this year. He's had a few chances. He's made a few mistakes that have, I think, shaken his confidence a little bit. And I think he just put 4 solid rounds together. Obviously he'd love to win.
Hopefully,
4 solid rounds is what he wants.
hopefully get off to a good start, and he won't get blown out by the wind, literally. Okay, so let's finish with my one. You couldn't read out what's my third. What's
Why
my
the
third?
urinals at Shinnecock are the best in the world? Why are the urinals?
That's an interesting one. So on Monday, we're out with Graeme and we see Padraig coming up. Graeme is walking down 3, I think, and Padraig is walking up 7. Padraig walks over, gives Graeme a big hug, they have a bit of a chat, and then Padraig walks towards us on the 7th green. And between the 7th green and the 9th fairway, he engages us with, should Michael Jackson be cancelled? Because he just watched the Netflix
documentary, yeah.
and there's a lot of questions about that. Schrodinger's cat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you're into astrophysics and all the rest,
I have no idea what that
it's
is.
one of
I'm
these
actually
things-
reluctant to even
no,
try and
you won't even
explain
get
it.
into it. Explain. It's
But
almost like a catch-22
Okay,
situation. Yeah.
But it happened because I asked him. I says, "What in the name of Jesus are you doing? You're playing 8 tournaments in a row.
Yeah.
Isn't that how it started?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're 8 tournaments in a row." And he said, "Well, I played last week because I want to warm up for this week.
Yeah.
I'm playing next week because I want to warm up for the week after that, which is the Senior US Open.
Yeah.
I'm playing the week after that, which is
The Scottish Open, I think.
the Scottish Open. Yeah, Scottish Open.
Then he's playing the Open.
Because I want to play the Open, and then he plays the Open, and he's got the Senior Open. Then we got that, so 8 in a row.
Defending champion. In
Now
a couple of those.
somehow his explanation for doing all this, apart from wanting to warm up, was this thing Schrodinger's cat. Can you even just give it a brief synopsis?
Yeah. Okay.
Without confusing everybody.
Yeah. Well, he did say, look,
Right.
play 8 in a row. He said, like, for example, one of the Champions Tour events. I mean, you're in a buggy. You've got a, there's a pro-am. It's not, he's won it 3
And there's
times
a cat.
before.
There's a cat in the buggy.
No, there's no cat in the buggy.
Right.
He just said, you can take one of them and treat it like a holiday.
Okay.
Just relax. And it's funny enough, when you do like that, you could actually end up playing yourself into contention, And I said, oh, that's an interesting. So you could actually say to yourself, I'm going to play next week and treat it like a holiday so I can maybe win. He says, now you see, that wouldn't work. That'd be like Schrodinger's cat theory about the cat being dead and alive at the same time in a box. This is a astrophysics thing. I said, that means catch-22 if you're exactly. That's the way to play.
Yeah. Well, I still have no idea what you're talking about, but it kind of does make a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Now, so after Schrodinger's cat, we're on the 9th fairway. And he says, "Oh, you have an exclusive for you."
Oh yeah.
And of course, naturally, you being a newsman, you're all ears.
Yes. What's this? Yes.
And he says, "Did you know the urinals at Shinnecock are the best in the world?"
Yeah.
I says, "Where did you get that from?" He says, "Well, I went in there the other day, and you're at the
Yes. The Armitage Shanks.
at the Armitage Shanks, and you look out the window, and you can see it's the highest point of the golf course.
Yeah.
You've got this magnificent view. It must be the best view of anywhere else in the world."
Yeah. Well, you don't believe everything Padraig tells you. You have to check these things out.
Yeah, and we sent in a a special reporter,
Undercover agent.
an undercover, and we actually managed
It's
to
out
get.
of bounds for us, the clubhouse.
It
We're
is
not
out of
allowed in
bounds.
there. There's a rope.
Yeah, well, that's why, because we can't say who it was,
No,
but
can't
we
say
sent
who it was.
we sent a guy in, and he confirmed actually it is quite a magnificent view.
Magnificent view. Apparently, yes. It's almost like a museum in
But
there.
when he came out,
Scorecards.
when he
you
came
name
out,
it.
when he came out, he dribbled all over his trousers. He wasn't paying attention, Brian.
Didn't write all over
We
them
won't
anyway.
say who it was. We'll save him the embarrassment. We won't say who it was. But
The views.
we won't say who it was. We don't want him turfed. We don't want him turfed out of the
Turfed it.
Oh, but-
Accreditation revoked.
accreditation wrong. Anyway, that's enough. I think the word is scuttlebutt.
That's the scuttlebutt from Shinnecock.
That's the scuttlebutt from Shinnecock, and we'll have some proper reportage from Brian if you join us tomorrow. See you then.